Hello and welcome to Code with JV. Today I'm going to be going through a live coding session of how I would go about coding against two different APIs in a single script. The APIs I will use, the 11 Labs API, where you can send text in and get voice back. If you pay for the API, you can actually clone it on your own voice or someone else's voice if you got their permission. Otherwise, you can use their built-in voices or have a randomly generated one on the free plan, which is what I'll be doing. Then I'll also be plugging the script into the large language models at OpenAI. Let's jump into it. Usually I'll have a ChatGPT instance up, then I'll also pull up the sort of authoritative references because ChatGPT hallucinates. Often I want to go and check ChatGPT's output or give it input to nudge it in the right direction. I've got the OpenAI reference here. I've also got the 11 Labs reference here. Now 11 Labs, I hadn't played with it before, so I gave it a little bit of a kick. When you add in voice, on the free plan you get 3 of them. This voice cloning is the thing most people want and they make you pay for that a little bit. It's not too much, I think it's $5 a month, but I didn't care about it enough to pay. This is plenty for just demoing APIs. I have gone here and made a voice called Henry, because when you're adding a voice, you can start to go into here and say how old do you want it to be, what gender do you want, what accent do you want, etc. And you can run some text. You get 10,000 free characters a month. So this is Henry. Oh yes, this is what I was testing with. Let's see what Henry sounds like.
Oh dear old chum. Good day to you, sir.
So that's our Henry. They've got a whole bunch of built-in pre-made ones as well. You can call them from the API. That's the app. Let's start to write the first script. Oh, the other thing I've done is I've got API keys for both these services and I've saved them in my environment. When I'm looking through the 11 Labs API, it's got a bunch of text-to-speech ones and it's also got a bunch of getting the voices, because when you call this one here, you need to know the ID of the voice you've got. So if we go to get voices, here's a curl script. It's asking for the API key, which I could manually edit this and type it, but I'm lazy. Am I really lazy? I'm typing a lot more than I would if I was just editing that script. But also what I'm doing is I'm setting up this chat session to give ChatGPT the context so it can start to be more helpful other steps on. So it is an inefficient typing exercise at the moment, but I think it's worth it in the long run. Now, I think I called it 11. Then I can just paste in this, and here it's got the API key. Oh, it's made a bash script. I don't want a bash script, I just want a command. Because I could make a bash script, but I'm going to be writing a JavaScript or Python script, and that's counterintuitive. So really it was just, this is what I wanted to get in there to see if, hey, can we hit the API and does it work? So today's thing I've got up in a GitHub repo. Which has got nothing much in it, but I'll push the code up as we go. Hitting the API, it's getting me a bunch of stuff back. I can see it's got Rachel's voice. It's a bit of a pain to read. So what I might do is I'll just copy it. And say, I'm not even going to say the output looks like that. I'll just paste it in. I want the voice ID and name. And now it's giving me a JQ thing on the end. Again, this is, can I see my Henry voice, etc. And with this, here's Henry. This is the one I created. And here's the ones that the other APIs have created. So I've got these IDs in here. So I can start to put this into a script. So let's get Henry's voice ID. We can also jump back here. And now that we've got the voice ID, I can go to text to speech. Here is the curl command. And let's just copy this. And here, what's the text I want? Sure. So it's figuring out the curl, it's remembering the 11 Labs key, it is hard coding in the ID for this. And again, what I'm just going to test is, does this work? Can I call it from the API before I start turning it into a script? Okay, binary output. Because it's giving me back some binary code, it doesn't want to just display it because it doesn't really make sense. It's audio output. But you can say output and save it to a file name. So we could just do that down here. And let's call it, I'm going to be original. I think it's an MP3. And now if we look at that, we have an output.mp3 at the end of this script. Here's an output.mp3.
It is a wonderful day today because we get to code.
Feels like he didn't finish the sentence, but there you go. That's Henry voice being generated from the API call. We could also go and say, what's Sam sound like? And if we go here, up arrow, and I'm just going to jump in here, switch out Sam's voice ID. So again, pretty fast turnaround.
It is a wonderful day today because we get to code.
Nice, Sam. I like Sam. Sam's fun. There we go. He seems enthusiastic. Henry was not so much. I guess that's why he made the cut to their pre-recorded voices. All right, so I've got the script. I'm hitting the API. I'm getting text into audio. I don't want to stay in curl for very long. I just test things out there. We've been doing a bunch of Python recently, so let's do this one in JavaScript. When you're writing scripts, there's this idea of the args. It often will show up as an argv command here. Thanks, ChatGPT. It's gone and basically written the curl command, and then it's throwing the curl command to the terminal, which is not how I'd ever call an API, but it's a good attempt. It'll probably work as well. And it's got Henry here. So I'm going to say, let's use a library. You wouldn't have to do an npm install. So it seems to be reaching for Axios quite commonly, but now it's actually using a library and looks a little bit more how I'd actually write an API call. And it's getting the API key from the environment. It is got the voice ID hard-coded, that's fine. argv2, that's going to be what I type after the script execution. So if we go to here, what are we doing here? This is called text-to-speech quite commonly. So if you're looking for stuff in this space, Google for text-to-speech and you'll get some things. It's JavaScript. I have pasted it in, and I think that's enough. I'm not using VS Code, I just jumped into Vim there, or NeoVim, which is often what I do for terminal scripts. And we need to install Axios because we're using a library in there. If I do that and we run this, what do we want to say today? It's Henry talking, isn't it? Oh, look at that. Here, we've run the script, but it's just output it. And this is why curl was saying you probably don't want to just output this. It doesn't make sense. Because if we look at this script here, what's it doing with the output? It is just console logging it. Or still calling it output, file write sync, response data. Okay. Oops. Don't want that. That'll mess with my output 3 stuff. Okay, so it says it saved the file.
Oh dearie me, the weather is dismal.
I probably need to be putting a full stop in there, and I reckon I'll be getting a different intonation. Now we've basically moved from a curl script to a JavaScript. And again, what I'll do now is let's just push this up. And what do we care about here? We care about package, JSON, package lock, and we care about TTS. Making small commits as you go, if you're using Git, just makes it easier to follow your progress or your breadcrumbs. You can go back to previous versions of the code as you change things. That's done. And often when I do a Git commit, it's also a mental, oh, I've finished this piece. Okay, I can have a break if I want. I can clear my terminal, clear some things, maybe start a new ChatGPT session, but I'm ready for the next thing. It's like closing a little chapter of programming. So that's there. And then I get to say, okay, what are we trying to do next? Because I've got the text working. We are getting voice to text. Let's now go and get some text from ChatGPT. This is where we'd use the other API call. Again, when I'm messing with this, I'll start with curl. I'll write a simple script, and then I'll try and combine the two into a bigger script. If we look at the OpenAI, I know this API a little bit better. There is a completions endpoint that you can call. Typically, each URL is called an endpoint in an API. You have to give it a model and a prompt, then it starts to spit text back at you. And it's just as if you typed something into ChatGPT. So I'm going to just copy this one. And here, okay, let's do a new chat session because we're switching contexts. It doesn't need to know anything about 11 Labs anymore. I'm going to paste in the curl command. Let's have the Prompt, say this is a test? Nah. Prompt of... Okay, so here we've got the poem. It's using Text-DaVinci 3. So that is a model which is one of the more powerful ones. So it costs a bit more, but it's all small. API key. Let's see if it works. Text completion created text. Okay. API is the bridge between worlds. Okay. It's giving me some text. Again, what I would do is actually, I don't, yeah, no, I will do it because it's teaching ChatGPT what data to process. So if I say output is this, whoops, don't care about bookmarks. So I'm just straight away throwing the output in. Please use. Oh, and also, if you haven't got JQ installed, you might see an error along the lines of curl body not found. Nothing about JQ not installed. So that can be a gotcha if it's not set up there. Here I will take that. Okay, 200 characters seems a bit short, but that's all right. We can change that later. So again, I've got a curl script. I'm hitting something. I'm getting a prompt out of it. I'll do the same thing as I did before. Please just shortcut any kind of dropping curl straight in there initially. Okay, it's Axios, OpenAI key. This is the endpoint, 500 characters, generate poem. All right, that's looking like it's got a shot of working. So I'm going to go here, and now I'll do something like, as I'm going, it's like, okay, how am I going to keep my code organized? I might make one called .js. The prompt is coming from, now I don't want the prompt from here. I could get it to regenerate it, or I could just remember that process.argv2 is what we want. And I will do something like, write me a poem about this. So I'm hard coding my prompt, where all parts of it. So I'm saying, give me some data. I've often heard this called the meta prompt, and this is the input from the user. So when you're hitting these APIs, often you're starting to build up quite large meta prompts about, hey, please behave like this or that. Let's see how we go. So it's just write me a poem about. I'm going to go node poem. And here we're going to say APIs. Sure. B's, there's no, I think it's to getting, that seems like a B related one because I didn't capitalize the thing. And I reckon if I capitalize it, it might be like, hey, you're talking about like coding APIs. Yeah, greatest feats, no matter. Okay, more poetry. This is the first step. And again, I would be tempted to be like, okay, whoops. If you do a git add and then everything, I've added some things I don't want to. So I'm going to go git reset node modules, get them out of there. I also don't care about the output because that's an output of my code. I would actually go echo node modules. I'm going to put that into a git ignore file, and I'm also going to echo output. And I could open up the git ignore file, but instead if I do this echo and the double arrows, then it's just append this to the file. And it's a quick way of changing your file. So now if I cat, hey, let's just have a look at that file, I can see that these are the things I want git to not save. And here I would say simple poem script. That's saved, it's pushed to GitHub, clear my head, give myself a bit of a mental shake and go, okay, I've done 2 steps. What's the next thing I want to do? This is the last thing I'll probably show you in this demo. Is here I would go, let's get them going together in a single script. So we call the script and it writes a poem and then it just outputs the text. I don't need to do too much in terms of ChatGPT. Let's see how much ChatGPT we need to do here. I'm going to look at the poem script. So this is the first thing I'd call. It's got a function called generate poem. It's getting the prompt from the arguments. That seems okay. It's calling generate poem. and down here it is console logging it. Instead, what I might want to do is let's console log it, but let's return it as well. So now I'm sending it back from the function. And this is where what I might do, actually, it's going to be a bit of work. ChatGPT's good at this stuff because I was starting to have to make some choices, which I didn't think I needed to make. Let's go here. We've got this script. And I am going to, let's just go into this one. Copy it. Oh, whenever you switch windows in ChatGPT, you lose what you're typing, so it's a mongrel to jump around. Please, okay. Okay, so it's starting to combine them, like, okay, here's the endpoint. And this would have been like a lot of little tweaks for me to do. Generate poem and convert to MP3, get the OpenAI response, get the text, get the poem, send this to as the text for 11 Labs response, then save it here. That looks like a decent start. If we go to this code here, I'm going to say, let's just not save that. I'm going to speak poem. That has been saved. And so if we go node speak poem APIs, it's taken its time. I wonder if it's still working. I'm going to give up on it. And now I am going to, let's just make sure the first step is happening, because that's got a console log in there now. All right. That seems strange. So where is that coming from? OpenAI 11 Labs, OpenAI API. That is very confusing. So I'm just going to, when I'm very confused, sometimes I just throw it into ChatGPT. And what have I missed here? That's showing me an image of some kind. App images, logo. Yeah, nothing to do with the script. That's weird. Okay. Debugging mode. So what I might do is let's get the speak poem up. Let's get the code up here. Now, this is where this is the poem. I want to see the whole response. That's my first inclination. And here we're going to go nodes, speak poem, yep. And we are going to call this APIs again. The other thing I would start to do if I'm debugging is I would start to be like, what's this prompt look like? Before it does anything, I just want to see, is this being generated in the right way? Because this here has got the prompt. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. Prompt is coming from here and it's going straight in as a prompt. So basically we're just giving ChatGPT the prompt of prompt, like this text, which is, it's lost that information. So when we generated the scripts and combined it, ChatGPT steered us a bit astray. So that information got lost along the way. So down here, much better. I have now changed the prompt. So whenever stuff is going weird, start checking your inputs and start checking your outputs. And then you can see, because if they looked what I had expected them to look like, I would know the error wasn't in this code, the error's in this code. But by going in about here, my first guess is that prompt is messing up the OpenAI endpoint. API v1 completions, that looks right to me. That looks right, that looks right. Temperature, yeah. Let us try again. And this is what happens when you have humans messing around with stuff. You'll start to forget. You'll just put in weird characters. Okay, that looks like a better prompt. That looks like some text which is coming back. Audio file saved. And this is one of the dangers of leaning on ChatGPT too much.
APIs bring us power. They help us each hour. From webhooks to databases, they help us devour. APIs can make our lives easier. They save us time and money. They help us build software better and let us have more fun. APIs are here to stay. We can use them every day. They help us stay connected and make our lives more great.
More great. That's beautiful poetry, Henry, and I'm guessing that it's my fault for not putting in the capital APIs in there. I liked Sam. I miss Sam a little bit. Okay, and again, sometimes when you build stuff, you can spend a bit more time playing with it than you can with the building. The lesson's probably over about now, but I do want to hear Sam talk again, because Sam was cool. Okay, here's the 11 labs. Have I lost it all? Nope. I remember there was this thing. Yeah, this is how I can get Sam. Here's Sam, and let's go change our script. And I might make it so that I can do things like this kind of stuff, so that we're basically going, okay, here's Sam and here's Henry, and I'm going to, actually this is in the wrong spot, isn't it? Here is the poem, here is Sam and Henry, and down here, oh man, that's annoying me. Because it's not a const, is it? And I just deleted Henry then. And actually, pretty sure the API only lets you call voices you've created yourself and are on your account. So it's probably good that I leave Sam in here, because the code will just work out of the gate for other folks. So this is Sam, endpoint, and now I need to change this one. All right, let's see how we're going now. Oh, I forgot to capitalize it. All right. Will it be about bees or will it be about APIs? Still about APIs. Audio file. So it definitely, ChatGPT seems a bit slower than the
APIs of the world. A way to explore, a way to build, a way to soar. Data flows in, data flows out. APIs make it happen, no doubt. From the small to the large, from the simple to the complex. APIs make it all go, no matter the context. APIs are here to stay, for better or for worse. APIs are here to stay, to make things work.
Bit of repetition in there. That poetry is a bit light, but anyway, that's great. Thanks, Sam. I have to do one more. No more APIs.
APIs make life easier. For software developers, a great pleaser.
Great. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Henry. That is pretty much what I wanted to show you today. The last thing I'll do, and whoops, wrong words. Here, I'm just going to go back to this now. I don't think we need the full prompt. Do I want the poem? I'm going to just comment it out. And I definitely don't need this data. Because when you've been debugging, it's always good just to go back, clean up after yourself. I'm also looking at this code and I'm really tempted to split it in half into two functions, but I won't worry about it. If I was going to, I'd just copy and paste it, ChatGPT, refactor this code, make it two separate functions, etc., just so it's got more reusability, but it's a demo project. Hopefully that gives you an idea about a way to tackle APIs in a bit more detail than the previous video. That's it for today. Let me know what sort of videos you want. I'm very much here just to keep making content and serving folks who are trying to learn coding using AI. If you want more videos about anything in particular, it doesn't matter how basic or how advanced, I'm really happy just to go anywhere. Happy learning.